Our inspiration for today again comes to us from Voices of Insight, which is edited by Sharon Salzberg. And this topic is probably one of my favorite topics, something that has been a part of my life for many, many years. And the topic is service, expressing our practice. And this is by Rodney Smith. So I'll read this excerpt from this essay that he did. Whenever you find yourself yearning to lead a more nourishing spiritual life, what kinds of activities do you imagine yourself doing? If you're like most people, you may have specific practices and environments that you define as spiritual. They might include going to a house of worship, a meditation hall, or a quiet spot in nature, and engaging in prayer, meditation, solitude, and self-reflection. These spiritual pursuits seem to foster a simpler, more peaceful life in which we might experience greater intimacy and self-worth. But with the many responsibilities of life in the world, we often have precious little time to devote to such practices. When time does permit them, our spiritual yearning is momentarily satisfied and we feel aligned with the needs of our hearts. But generally, our spiritual practice remains secondary to our more pressing daily activities. Is it possible that we are defining our spiritual practice in too narrow a way? Perhaps we have become too attached to a particular form of spirituality, to a specific practice or set of circumstances. If we return to the intention behind our practices rather than adhering strictly to a form that supports the intention, we may discover a new approach to spirituality and one that truly feeds our hearts. For me, Rodney says, that discovery has led to serving others as a practice of the heart. Service work is a form that seems to be common to all the sacred traditions of the world. It cuts through all artificial divisions between spirituality and life. Through it, we find that service can actually be an expression of prayer, an ongoing, engaged meditation. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross once said that she never meditated and never wanted to. She found it too dry. But when working with the dying, being intimately present with that person, listening fully and learning constantly, she was as focused as any meditator sitting on the floor and attending to the breath. She was, in fact, meditating. But her meditation arose naturally from her concern for the dying, not through formal sitting practice. For her, meditation was an expression of her service to the dying. Service has a way of transforming our daily life into a spiritual practice. If service work is defined as breaking through the artificial barriers that seem to isolate us from the rest of life, then washing the dishes, dressing, cooking, eating, and showering are not separate from our prayer or meditation. When our daily activities teach us about our relationship to all things, our life becomes an unceasing prayer of the heart. We become less dependent upon specific practices because we are more aware of the interrelationship between who we are and the activity we are involved in. We may participate in prayer or meditation, but we no longer find that these are the only ways to access a spiritual dimension. Our heart becomes as available through a variety of contexts and relationships as it does through sitting meditation. We start being fed from life itself. And so this was from the book Voices of Insight, edited by Sharon Salzberg. And this one was Service, Expressing Our Practice by Rodney Smith. So you may wish to take this into your meditation for today.